2021 was already a very difficult year in real life, but it was also very difficult in games. Several brought cinematic boss battles, which required a lot of patience, skill, and a stash of power-ups. Check out the top 10 hardest boss fights in 2021. Here is a look back at some of the most stunning, best design that 2021's video games had to offer. Are you ready? Let's fight! Coming at number 10, Blighted Lord, Ender Lilies. During the course of Ender Lilies, players will face off against many deadly bosses. Making it through to the very end of it is by no means an easy feat. During the course of this Metroidvania, the player will have to go up against many powerful creatures and enemies that will test all of their skills. Those who do make it to the very end will then find themselves having to go up against one of the deadliest foes in the entire game, the Blighted Lord, and he won't let the player forget that fact with his huge amount of health, a vast array of deadly abilities, very high damage output in 2 phases. The Blighted Lord is a large stationary boss with a single attackable core in her chest. None of her body parts deal contact damage when she is not attacking. He will literally summon these dangerous creatures, sometimes over and over, and you may see 3 to 4 or more of them out at one time. If that happens, you may be dead, as dashing through that many shots is quite hard. Before attempting this fight, the player will want to ensure that they bring their strongest abilities with them into the fight. Coming at number 9, Bassus, Halo Infinite. Bassus is the third boss that players will face in Halo Infinite, and he can be very difficult to defeat without the right strategy. Therefore, it's recommended that players spend some time exploring recovery and collecting Spartan cores in order to upgrade their gear before attempting Halo Infinite's campaign mission, Excavation Site. During this mission, players must face Bassus, who uses powerful melee attacks and moves very quickly. Tight space against a big, armored brute with a gravity hammer? High potential for chaos. Players need to dodge Bassus attacks by quickly moving around the arena. In other words, keep doing your best Miles Morales impression, dashing out of the way whenever you can until his shields are gone. Due to the fight's mechanics, defeating Bassus may take players some time, but with a little patience and a lot of dodging, players can beat him. Coming at number 8, Heisenberg, Resident Evil Village. Resident Evil Village throws dozens of creative foes at Ethan Winters, from the chainsaw propeller-headed Sturm to the mutated Mad Dr. Moreau. But ultimately, none of them can compete with Heisenberg, one of the 4 lords. Out of all the boss fights in Resident Evil Village, Heisenberg is one of the only ones where there's no easy strategy to take him out. You sort of have to just play the fight out as the developers intended. Oddly enough, there's no fighting him in his base form, which I guess makes sense, given that Ethan stole his hammer. There are 2 phases, and there is literally no reason why you'd want to get close to Heisenberg's mutated form, even if it isn't all that scary. So try and stay as far back as you possibly can while still being able to aim at his weak spots. To sum up, this fight is pretty straightforward. Avoid the blades of death and shoot him in the weak spots, but the cramped space makes it complicated and frenetic. You can move while shooting, so find a comfortable distance for both positioning and aiming. Coming at number 7, Yagic Reborn, Outriders. Outriders is the ideal game to play cooperatively. Playing with friends will give players an advantage over their environment and enemies. Although there is the option to play alone, some parts are best suited to play with others. Moments, such as the final fight against Yagic, will take teamwork and a lot of dodging to win. Yagic will need to be battled in a few different encounters. In total, you'll have to face him twice. Each time, his strength progresses a little bit. The first encounter only has 1 phase, so once Yagic is defeated, there will be a cutscene where he runs away. The second time you come across Yagic's ugly mug is for literally the final boss fight of the main story. Will be 2 phases and is considerably more difficult. In this fight, Yagic's wide variety of attacks makes it very tricky to deal with. In the final phase of the fight, Yagic adds a few new moves that could definitely take the player out if they're not ready. This battle is tough, especially given the lack of critter enemies from which to leech health. Coming at number 6, Narwa the Allmother, Monster Hunter Rise. With version 3.0 of Monster Hunter Rise came a new boss villain, Narwa the Allmother. The final boss proves that Capcom still has plenty of tricks up its sleeves when it comes to creative monster-slaying encounters, even 5 installments in. Players will be fighting Narwa during the very end and will have to stop her from breeding, so you will be fighting 2 creatures, using a combination of weapon attacks, ballistic shots, and wirebug slinging. At first, players will only encounter the Wind Serpent Ibushi. Once Lightning Serpent Narwa absorbs the life force of her mate, the Elder Dragon attains a new level of power rivaling godhood. Now, Allmother's attacks combine both Ibushi and Narwa's skills. Like any other boss fight, this one is also very detailed and incredibly difficult. From there, it's a matter of survival. players should expect both wind and lightning strikes, in addition to massive yellow balls of energy and lightning rings. Everything from the music and the Allmother's unique design to combat mechanics is carefully calculated to produce an epic showdown. Coming at number 5, Juzo Amon, Lost Judgment. Each game in the Yakuza franchise features an incredibly difficult boss fight with a character named Amon. It's pretty much tradition at this point, and Lost Judgment is no different. However, despite seeking revenge for their last encounter, Shin Amon isn't your opponent in Lost Judgment. Instead, another member of the clan, Juzo Amon, makes himself known. Is the hardest boss in Lost Judgment. Initially, Shin wants a rematch with Yagami, but Juzo interferes and teleports Yagami to the roof of Seiryo High School where they fight. In his first round it starts out simple enough, he mostly just punches at Yagami, and he's pretty easy to dodge and deal out damage to. However, in his second stage, Juzo is calling down lasers, firing energy blasts from his hands, and detonating explosive drones on the ground. Even with all of the items and buffs available, this is an epic endurance battle in the rain with both combatants not letting up. It is the ultimate test of your mastery of combat, and no playthrough is truly complete without it. Coming at number 4, Weiss the Immaculate, Final Fantasy VII Intergrade. Though technically a hidden boss, since you need to beat episode intermission, and then enter the Shinra Combat Simulator on Chapter 17 in hard mode, Weiss is still a crazy fighter. Weiss' combination of attacks are frustrating to avoid and counter, and the ability to reduce his stagger gauge, making it even more difficult to damage him, are one thing. There are 3 phases, preparation and strategy are essential when taking on him. Weiss also has the cool factor going on. He will phase shift from his katanas and bring out a Gatling gun to deal damage. Along with changing between 2 states, he can also unleash Immaculate End to deal 99.99 damage to the party. The only way to take him down is by stacking stagger high enough to deplete his health pool. But even with devastating damage and speed, Weiss is easily one of the toughest and most fun boss fights of the year. Coming at number 3, Corrupt Woodsmith, Kina Bridge of Spirits. Kina, Bridge of Spirits bosses have some serious bite that tests every trick the player has at their disposal. The wonderfully imposing-looking Corrupt Woodsmith, for example, has an invulnerability mechanic that serves as a skill check for the player's newly acquired spirit bombs. Corrupt Woodsmith is the spirit of Adira, and is a magical and elegant creature with only a few attacks, but those attacks hit hard, and will frequently use stage-sweeping rings of fire and summon adds to aid her against Kina. The boss fight with Corrupt Woodsmith has 2 phases and doesn't begin in earnest until the Stone of the Monolith has been destroyed. Once her invulnerability engine is destroyed, the Woodsmith will go into a frenzied second phase of the fight, which plays more like a conventional boss duel. Corrupt Woodsmith is a great boss fight for players who enjoy a long-range fighting style or hit-and-run combat. The fight must be kept at a fast pace to stop the boss from reforming the monolith and creating a never-ending loop of a fight. Coming at number 2, Hyperion, Returnal. Out of all the Returnal bosses, Hyperion stands out. With 3 phases is arguably a hard boss, and also a malevolent alien musician playing the universe's creepiest organ. Hyperion's boss fight starts off simple, with firing blue homing projectiles, followed by a red projectile that causes a shockwave, and then some yellow bullets. The real trouble begins when he decides to fire all 3 of the above at once. He'll also fire a pink laser beam to avoid and more blue projectiles afterward. Hyperion will even include his precious organ into the mix, with projectiles raining down from its pipes. The fight includes all of Returnal's staple mechanics, and the artful shot patterns she must dodge and weave through are visually stunning, resulting in an almost psychedelic life and death struggle. How often do you get to fight a boss who just jams out on his pipe organ throughout a fight? It's like he's giving us a front-row concert experience paired with a mesmerizing light show, though not the kind of concert you want to be standing still at. Coming at number 1, Wasp Queen, It Takes Two. The Wasp Queen is one of the more challenging bosses players will face in It Takes Two, but you are wondering why the Wasp Queen boss is in the first position, right? That's because it is impossible to try and get through this game using the set of only one character. You'll need good communication between both players during all phases. While the Wasp Queen may not look too threatening, the battle does get progressively harder, so Cody and may need to work perfectly together to bring it down. In this level, Cody is armed with a flammable sap cannon, which May must detonate with her matchstick rifle, resulting in a synchronized shooting exercise. In addition to the standard, broad boss arena where players must dodge attacks and shoot the boss head-on, players must also use a grinding rail to land shots on the bot's weak points. All you need to do is focus on the weak points of the Queen Wasp, and as soon as you drown her in tree sap, use May's drill buzzer to create one explosion after the other. But remember, you're not alone. To beat the Wasp Queen, it takes two. So wanna be the first to know when a new video comes out? Subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Our other cool stuff is showing up on the screen right now. So stay there and check out. And if it isn't asking too much, thumbs up the video, it is really important for us. Stay tuned and see you next time.